Hey YouTube, Ryu here. Well, looks like there's been another attack over in London and 40 people injured. They didn't say how many dead, but I guarantee at least 3. The police officer, the woman that they showed under the bus, and the guy that was thrown off the side of the bridge and hit the concrete. The way he was laying, no, there's no way he's alive. Not to mention you could see that he hit head first. Now, I'm probably not going to be posting too many videos along these lines. But this is the type of thing that gets under my skin. Most of my videos are going to be bitching about petty little things, you know, video games, whatever, whatnot. But the thing is I gotta go ahead and applaud the police over there for actually calling it out for what it is and saying that it is an investigation into a terror attack. So kudos to them for actually having the balls to even come out and say it, unlike other countries like Germany and so on and so forth. And if that pisses anyone off, fuck you. I don't care. The thing is we need to start actively looking at this problem and recognizing that, yeah, even though not all Muslims feel that way, the thing is when you actually take a look at the polls that have been taken, a lot of them don't exactly denounce it, at least not fully. A lot of them sit there and say, oh, violence isn't a good thing, violence isn't a good thing. But then in the same study, or should I say survey, they'll sit there and be asked a question of, is violence against someone who insults Allah or whatever, or Muhammad, or, you know, any one of their religious figures, is violence okay against that person? More often than not, they say yes. And that right there is a problem. When you have an ideology that says, yeah, it's okay to be physically violent against people that I disagree with, it's a bad ideology. It's a violent ideology. And it is not an ideology of peace. And yes, that's me sitting there and saying that no, Islam is not a religion of peace. Period. End of story. It's actually very violent. It's got a lot of violence in its history, like a lot of religions. I mean, hell, I was raised Christian. I don't deny that Christianity has a violent history. But the thing is when was the last time you heard of a Christian terrorist attack? When? Because I hear a lot of people bring up the Crusades. Well, that was quite a long time ago. Christianity's come a long way since then. Islam? No. It's still the same. It refuses to budge on anything. Getting even the slightest change done in there takes centuries. I mean, you have fundamentalist Christians that aren't even as violent. And they're going word for word from the Bible. And a lot of people say, oh, well, you haven't read the Quran, you haven't read the Hadiths. Yes, actually I have, unfortunately. I wish I hadn't. That is a lot of hatred being spewed in the name of a religion. It isn't a religion of peace. It's a religion of subjugation. It's a religion of terror. And it's a religion of violence. Period. Any religion that sits there and says, kill anyone who believes differently, stone them to death, throw them from a roof if they're gay. I mean, honestly, it just goes on and on and on. And it's sickening. I mean, if the rest of the world was like them, do you think any of those countries would even exist anymore? No. We would have wiped them from the face of the fucking planet. But no. We always have to be the bigger people. Every single time. No matter how many of us they kill, no matter how many widows and orphans they create. No matter how many women, girls, and boys, and even men that they rape, we just have to look the other way. And that's wrong. That's wrong. And people sit there and say, oh, that's racist. Well, guess what, motherfucker? It's not racist. Muslim is not a race. It's an ideology. You have Islam in Africa. In East Africa, it's the primary religion. And look at how well off they are. Look at all the problems that they have. I think it's funny that you got all these feminists that are sitting there bitching about air conditioning and minor things, bitching about video games. You know, how women are represented in video games. But as soon as you bring up Muslim rape gangs or something like that, oh, well, it's their way of life. You can't be racist. No. As soon as feminism became intersectional, it lost the last tiny shred of credibility it had left. That's the problem with becoming intersectional. You take the good and the bad. But it makes sense to me that they would align that way. And the thing is, I'm not just ripping on feminists. I'm not going to turn this into a thing bitching about feminists in particular. This is about anyone who's into social justice. Because every single person that I've talked to that's into social justice is the most hateful, racist, bigoted, xenophobic motherfucker on the planet. So the question is how long do we let the insanity last? How long until we stand up and say enough is enough? How many more people have to die? How many more people have to be sent to the hospital? How many more children have to lose their parents? How many wives have to lose their husbands? How many husbands have to lose their wives? The thing is I always see, these social justice warriors sitting there and saying, oh, you have to be tolerant, while showing absolutely zero tolerance themselves. And you know what the funny thing is? As soon as it comes time for them to practice what they preach, they buckle. Enough is enough. And we are well beyond that point. It's time to actually take a stand. Take the fight to them. Don't hold back punches. Don't sit there and follow rules of war. I hate it whenever people say war games. Because the thing is that's how war is treated nowadays by civilized societies. It's treated like a game, and you're playing with people's lives. How about this? Send in the troops. No rules. Nothing is off limits, because nothing is off limits to our enemy. And this is coming from an American. I know my history. I know how we beat the shit out of the British. It's because they went by civilized rules and we didn't. We hit them as hard as we could, whenever we could. And that's exactly what's happening now. Except instead of it being just one country, it's an entire way of life. And if we keep holding back our punches, if we keep letting these SJWs sit there and say, "Oh, well, you're racist," well, you know what? Move over there. Join up with them and die with them. Because we're done dying. This needs to stop. We need to do something. And we need to do something decisive.